Imagine a ladder. In our world, we are taught to climb it at all costs. We climb for power, for wealth, for recognition. We are told that blessed are the rich, the famous, and the strong. But today, Jesus invites us to the side of a mountain, sits us down, and flips that ladder upside down. In today's readings, we encounter the great reversal. God reveals that true happiness, beatitude, is found not in accumulating power, but in emptying ourselves to make room for Him. In the first reading, the prophet Zephaniah speaks to a specific group of people, the humble of the earth. In Hebrew, these are the anakim, the poor, the lowly, those who have been crushed by life and have no one to rely on but God. Zephaniah was prophesying during a time of judgment. The proud and powerful were being humbled. God promises to leave a remnant, a small group who will find safety not in their armies or walls, but in the name of the Lord. To be part of God's people, we must embrace humility. We must stop trying to be the strongest in the room and admit we need a Savior. In the second reading, St. Paul delivers a reality check to the Christians in Corinth. He asks them to look around the room. Not many of you were wise, not many were powerful. Paul isn't insulting them, he is highlighting God's strategy. God intentionally chooses what the world considers foolish and weak to shame the arrogant. If salvation depended on our IQ, our bank account, or our social status, we would have reason to boast. But because it depends on God's grace, no human being might boast before God. Our confidence is in His power, not ours. We now arrive at the Gospel, the famous Sermon on the Mount. Jesus is the new Moses, delivering the new law not on stone tablets, but on the human heart. Blessed, the word used here, makarios, means truly happy or fortunate. Jesus is giving us the formula for joy. Poor in spirit. This doesn't necessarily mean financial poverty, but spiritual bankruptcy. It is admitting, Lord, I have nothing without you. It is the opposite of pride. They who mourn. This isn't just about sadness, it is about having a heart soft enough to break for the sins of the world and the suffering of others. The meek. Meekness is not weakness, it is power under control. It is trusting God to fight your battles rather than using aggression. Hunger and thirst for righteousness, a desperate craving for God's will, just as a starving person craves bread. The Beatitudes are not a checklist of things to do to earn heaven. They are a portrait of who Jesus is. By becoming like Him, we enter the kingdom of heaven. How do we live this out when we have bills to pay and careers to manage? Here are actionable steps for you. 1. The litmus test of boasting. This week, pay attention to your conversations. When you share a success, do you frame it as, look what I did, or look what God allowed me to do? Practice redirecting praise to God, echoing St. Paul, whoever boasts should boast in the Lord. 2. Practice meekness in conflict. When someone cuts you off in traffic or criticizes you at work, your instinct is to retaliate, power. The application of meekness is to pause, pray for that person, and refuse to return evil for evil. 3. Identify your false idol. St. Thomas Aquinas said that humans substitute God with 4 things: wealth, honor, power, or pleasure. Pick one beatitude that counters your specific struggle. If you seek wealth, practice being poor in spirit by giving away something significant this week. If you seek power, practice being meek by letting someone else have the last word. If you seek pleasure, practice hungering for righteousness by fasting from a comfort food to feed your spirit. 4. The remnant prayer. Start your day with the prayer of Zephaniah's remnant. Lord, I am poor and lowly. I cannot handle this day alone. I take refuge in your name. You are my strength. In summary, the readings for this Sunday present a radical inversion of worldly values, teaching us that true blessedness is found not in power, wealth, or self-reliance, but in humility and total dependence on God. Zephaniah calls the remnant to seek humility. St. Paul reminds us that God chooses the weak to shame the proud so that we boast only in Him. And Jesus, in the Beatitudes, unveils the portrait of a disciple, one who is poor in spirit, meek, and merciful. To live this out, we must actively reject the idols of success and control. practicing meekness in conflict and attributing our victories to God's grace, thereby finding that the kingdom of heaven belongs to those who know they are nothing without the King.